I want to talk this morning about the energy crisis. You know, for at least 20 years I have been talking about the energy crisis. I've seemed to understand this far better than most people I've met, because it seemed to me that this energy crisis was absolutely obvious. And I'm talking now about the real energy crisis, the spiritual energy crisis. For years, the masters, through me, have been talking about the spiritual energy crisis. And they've called it 100 different names, but it still amounts to the same thing. You have been told, and quite rightly, that the whole of creation is not only made up of energy, but there is free energy running through it. That great and mighty being from Saturn stated that the energies which course through millions of worlds make the heart of small man beat. The very energy which you use in order to make your journeys is the same energy which is used to create a sun. Mankind can worry about the physical energy crisis which faces him today and will face him tomorrow and in the future. But unless he puts the spiritual energy crisis right, he will always be faced with a physical energy crisis, no matter what inventions he comes up with. Repeat, prophesy, no matter what inventions he comes up with, he will still run short of physical energy. Unless he solves the spiritual energy crisis. Unless he learns how to use what we term spiritual energy correctly. And when he does this, then no shortage of physical energy can be allowed to hold up his main journey. Let's talk a bit about a journey. This morning you left home to come to this church. When you left home, you traveled through space and time. But you also made another journey which includes space and time. You made a journey through evolution. You made a part of the only journey that you're destined to make. The journey through evolution, the motion through evolution of a point of consciousness is the only real journey. Everything else is a part of this. The journey through space and time is used by and because of the journey through evolution. Man's limited conception of space and time gives him only a fraction of the picture. To understand space and time, you have to understand evolution. And unless you do, you can't understand the other things. If a runner wants to build himself up for a big race, it's no good if he starts building up his arms. He can have the strongest arms in the world, and they will not help him if he needs his legs to run with. And that's exactly what mankind is doing. In their ignorance, they are putting, as we may say, the least important before the most important. They are trying to satisfy their gross physical energy desires before they even think about their spiritual energy needs. And sooner or later, no matter what happens, they have to put this energy complex in its rightful order. And there is no way out of it. If mankind has to perish terribly 1,000,000 times so that he can learn this lesson, then he'll do so. If he has to starve 1,000,000 times, then he'll do so. It's almost unbelievable, the absurdity of the inhabitants of this planet. And some of us who have foreseen this, just as the seers of old foresaw many things which have happened, and we have talked repeatedly about this, and not only, as far as I'm concerned, not only talk, because that isn't good enough, we've given a living demonstration of our knowledge in this respect. It still doesn't seem to make too much difference to Mr. and Mrs. Everyman. By a living demonstration, I mean things like Operation Blue Water, Operation Starlight, Operation Sunbeam, Operation Prayer Power. These are living demonstrations of, number one, the existence of spiritual energy, as a workable energy, as a usable energy, as an energy which can be manipulated by anyone. And number two, we have shown how this energy can be manipulated. And it can be manipulated very, very simply, without advanced electronics even. And we've offered, throughout the years, in several different ways, energy sources to this earth. Operation Starlight is a glowing example of this. You have now 19 more energy sources than you had before it was done. And every one of those energy sources can be tapped by every man, woman and child in this or any other country. Even a little baby can do it. No one is ruled out. How can you rule anyone out from a spiritual energy? Because it's the same energy which is used in the creation of suns that you can use today and tomorrow and the day after and for the rest of this and all other lives to come. And it's when this spiritual energy crisis has been put right, and not before, that all the physical energy man needs in his journey through evolution must come to him by law. The knowledge how to get it must come to him by law. So we have a physical energy crisis facing us today and in the years to come, purely because man has not put energy in its right importance. Some years ago, when I started to talk about energy in the way that I do, people looked at me with blank expressions on their faces. They just couldn't understand when I said that the thing you call LOVE is just as much an energy as the thing you call electricity. It just operates on a different frequency and it does a different job. And it has to be manipulated in a different way in order to do its job. If you manipulate electricity in the wrong way, it won't work. If you manipulate spiritual energy in the wrong way, it won't work. If you manipulate electrical energy in the right way, it will work. If you manipulate spiritual energy in the right way, it will work. And I've proved it. Over and over again, I've proved it. Demonstrated this fact in multitudinous different ways to you. To anyone who has the common sense to really look and investigate, it's been proved. How, first, it exists, secondly, how to use it. And when you do use it, and there's no shortage of it at all, when you do use it, you start making a definite journey through evolution. You have a point which you fabricate way out above a space-time continuum, and you gradually move towards that point or that objective. And everything else you need to reach that objective must come to you by karmic law. And it can't be otherwise. And as long as you hold that objective, that spiritual objective, all the spiritual energy you need to get to that particular spiritual pinnacle, you will be given. And all the physical energy you need to get to that particular spiritual pinnacle, you will be given. If that spiritual pinnacle exists in Andromeda, you will be given that energy, the ability and the know-how to get there. But until you do this, you'll be just playing like a lot of children in the dark. The physical energy crisis facing mankind today could easily be solved by any person who was anything like an adept in less than 7 days. I could do it. I could do it before today's out. Or at least tell them how it can be done before today's out. But the change necessary in mankind would not be made by mankind. And if you did just temporarily solve these problems for mankind, it would only be a temporary thing. They'd come up again in a few years' time, maybe even worse, and again in a few more years, maybe even worse. Unless he puts his spiritual energy crisis right, then never again would he face these problems. It's obvious, it just has to be. Can't be any other way. It's the law, and we can't alter the law. We're confined within this law, and no matter how great we are or how small we are, we can't get out of this law. If one cell, living cell, got out or around or bypassed this law, then the whole of creation would go back to its original potential. And that statement takes a lot of meditation to really understand it, but it is true. Beyond any doubt, it is true. So the years and years I, for one, have spent talking about the spiritual energy crisis and the desperate need for spiritual energy use in this world is now beginning to show itself, is going to be, I'm terribly afraid, is going to be proved in whatever way it has to be proved to mankind. You know, the Master Aetherius has stated definitely, it isn't a guess, ladies and gentlemen. You can make a statement and it could be right or couldn't be right. But when a person like Aetherius makes a statement, it's right, don't bet your life on it. Don't bet the life of your family on it. Bet the salvation of your family and yourself on it. It's right. When he stated quite point blank that mankind was not put upon earth to suffer, it was a correct statement. That he had two ways to go. One was the hard way through suffering, but the other was the far more pleasant way, through spiritual advancement. And the earth has chosen the other way. That's why there is so much suffering on earth. Wars, disease, old age even, etc., etc. Because mankind has taken the wrong path, the path leading downhill to the hells. Oh, eventually he'll begin to come up. The law states so. Eventually he'll begin to climb. But look at all the lives of suffering before he does. And then when he does, he's got to climb higher still to get out of the morass which he has chosen to put himself into. And he will be denied more and more will he be denied his physical energy sources because he is using these wrongly. And it doesn't make any difference if they cover America with atomic generating stations, you are still will be short of electricity. Because another aspect of the law will move in, something that no scientist has yet foreseen. And it's so simple and it's so obvious what mankind should do. Stop and think about the real sources of energy and how to use those correctly. If he does so through his religion, then do it through your religion. If he does so as a non-religious person, then do it as a non-religious person. But do it. Do it. Use the vast spiritual energy battery, which is the whole of creation. Let it course through you, become a radiator for this, and send it out to all, and go through the whole process of evolution, as you have been taught to do over and over and over again. Talking about myself, I have spent hundreds of hours and thousands of units of valuable mental and spiritual energy teaching people the right way to go. It's made a difference to some, to a few. It's probably made a difference to everyone in one way or another. But only a few, a relative handful, have really begun to take the steps that they should. And other teachers throughout the centuries have done the same. And only a relative handful of people have really taken much notice. Easily provable? Easily provable. When you leave this place today, go home, project from the body, and if you can, it's going to be difficult, but if you can, go to level 5 and see how sparsely populated it is, and then go to the spirit realms, the basic realms, and see how overpopulated that is, and then go to the hells and see the mass of people there. And that's all you need to know about Earth. If I was a spaceman investigating Earth, I would make that move first. And from that move, I could then retire to my computers and tell you the whole history of mankind. You wouldn't have to look at the man on Earth now, or the physical realm. You'd only have to look at the highest realm, the basic realm, and the lowest realm, and you could move off out into space and you'd know the planet Earth. If you adopted the same procedure with other planets, you would see a very different story. Instead of this tremendous difference between the basic man and advanced man, you would see that the evolution has kept them a lot closer together, and one realm would be very densely populated, and the other realms sparser populated, but there would be nothing underneath. There would be no hells, because they wouldn't be necessary. They would be non-existent. And if they were existent, then you would know beyond a doubt that those people had not manipulated spiritual energy in the correct way. And after all, that's all we're here for. Told you this before, over and over and over again. Told you there's only one reason man is on Earth. There are not two, there's one. That's to evolve, and there's one sure way to do it. There's not two, there's one, and it's simply said. It'll take you hundreds of lives to do, but it's simply said. That is controlling spiritual energy. And you can start by controlling the spiritual energy within yourself and bombarding the atom, the kundalini, at the base of the spine, raise kundalini, manipulate it properly, and leave Earth. That's the only reason you're here. Not two, one. And that's it. It's not to bring up children, it's not to look after families, it's nothing of these things, and yet it's all of these things. Manipulation of the higher forms of energy. And you can look for the lower forms of energy all you like. You will be gradually more and more denied the use of these lower forms of energy, your gasoline and so on, until you really turn back to the spiritual things. And then and only then will you have abundance. then and only then will you have abundance, no matter what appearances seem to say to the contrary. It is true, it's the law, it's the divine law, and it's there, and we're a part of it. Fortunately for all of us, that the spiritual energy does not need tremendous technical help so that we can obtain it. All we have to do is to walk outside, throw our arms up like that, and say one of the 12 blessings, and immediately spiritual energy starts to course through us. We don't need oil wells being dug and that type of thing. We don't need other people to help us do it. You have needed me as a teacher to put you on the right track, but once you're on the right track, then you can go on and on and on and on forever and ever and ever and ever. Occasionally when you come to a little hill that is steep, you'll need more guidance, but even then you're on your own, then you'll need more guidance and you're on your own, certainly. But you won't need a mass of tractors and drills and so on to pull the energy out of this or any other earth for you, because the computer mechanism that you will use to do this is built into you. To sum up, there is an energy crisis. There's been an energy crisis on earth for many centuries. It's a spiritual energy crisis. When that spiritual energy crisis is put right, the physical energy crisis will fall automatically into place. Until that spiritual energy crisis is put right, the physical energy crisis will become more and more severe, no matter what strides are made to apparently solve it. Definite statement, definite prophecy. And it's not wrong. As an expert in the manipulation of energies, it isn't wrong. Some of you know a little about me, and you know that that is my greatest science.